Good afternoon on what is a cool, bright and slightly breezy day. It is Sunday the 11th of October and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and some interesting boxes and parcels to open. And the first one I'm going to do is this. This is Slaughter Margin, a Judge Dredd, the role-playing game supplement. Now, this is one of two official scenarios published by Games Workshop for what is regarded as the classic and first role-playing game devoted to Judge Dredd. There have been three since, so there have been a total of four. And the other one was Judgment Day. Let's have a look. This is designed by Richard Halliwell, who co-wrote the Judge Dredd role-playing game, also famous as the designer of Blockmania and other games for Games Workshop. I believe based Judgment Day would have been by Marcus L. Rowland. So we've got the back. We've got basically shows you what's in the box and a bit of a blurb. So let's have a look at what the blurb says. The spectre of a long forgotten foe has appeared to haunt the streets and blocks of Mega City 1, and only you can stop it. Slaughter Margin is the latest supplement for the enormously popular Judge Dredd role-playing game. It provides Judge Dredd GMs with a complete set of 8 generic floor plans which can be joined together to make all sorts of buildings, and 4 sheets of card counters and overlays, with enough judges, perps and furnishings to bring your games to life. But more than this, it also contains a 48-page adventure which makes full use of those amazing floor plans and pitches your judges into a baffling case of murder and a conspiracy to destroy the whole of Mega City 1. Future Judge Dredd releases will build on this unique and flexible system to provide Judge Dredd players with all of the plans they'll ever need in the fight to keep the streets of the city safe for the citizens everywhere. What you get is 8 A3 sheets of generic floor plans, a sheet of over 100 counters featuring all of the characters involved in the adventure, 3 sheets of overlays which provide the generic plans with the signs, logos, furnishings, etc. that are featured in the adventure, a 48-page adventure book, and 8 sheets of player handouts. So let's find out what's in the box. So open up and we have that. So first off, you can see that a lot of these have been essentially cut out. So there we have essentially an attack copter all cut out, ready to play, ready to put down on the board. And you've got things like judge standees. There we go, with their law masters. So all of these some of these have been cut out and played. And inside we've got a bit of advertising, so basically shit advertising. So there we have the core rules, then the scenario Judgment Day, and then of course the board game, which other people will remember, which came out earlier and was designed by Ian Livingstone. And basically that's a sort of like classic Ameritrash board game where you move around. You send your judge hither and thither, investigating crimes and perps and attempting to beat them simply with a dice roll. And it's very simple, luck-based, and fun and kooky and silly, and very playable. So there's actually more to this sheet, because essentially what you've got on here is the books available, books and games available. On the inside we have a sheet for all of the miniatures, and one of the features of basically the version of the Judge Dredd game from Games Workshop and then the one from Mongoose Publishing was that there were miniatures available for it. Games Workshop put out a whole range, as did Mongoose Publishing, though the one from Mongoose Publishing was primarily for use with their miniatures combat game. So it uses Lawmaster, judges, lots of perks there. And then specifically on the back, what we've got is a list of basically all of the miniatures available specifically for Slaughter Margin. Okay, so nice bit of advertising, and then we get to the a Judge Dredd scenario. I'm going to have a look at that in a second. I'm going to have a look at the other bits and pieces. So again, we have these maps. Okay, I'm going to pull these out, and there are several of these. So we have basically the inside of buildings, and these are done in 25mm scale, very bright, breezy, on quite stiff paper. And these can be used again and again. Some of them are fairly similar. So you've got another one of these. Then you've got the outside of a building, and there would have been in with the cutouts. You could have had, you know, various bits of furniture and fittings and that, so on and so on. So yeah, there are a few reprints sort of like in here but again, you know, these are useful because essentially the Judge Dredd itself is a fairly tactical game, so it does involve a bit of combat, and you're going to be moving around your judges and so on. And then we've got handouts like a data file, citizens file for Tom Hoshi. There we go. Printed on grey paper, easy to cut out and hand to your player characters. To your players, and there are lots of these in here. You know, so we have got a long data printout as well. And then, of course, we have the adventure. Floor to margin, okay, and by Richard Halliwell, essentially says here, awed by the baroque splendour of Judge Dredd, the role-playing game, worried, scared even that you might go footsie? Fear not, Floor to Margin is the second adventure pack for Judge Dredd, for Dread Zone role-playing game. In this booklet you find everything you need to run this critical assignment. To the Game Master only. If you wish to be a player, you should stop reading now. Snatching glances at the lavishly drawn maps and plans is cheating. Judges, of course, never cheat. It's designed for Game Master and 3 to 4 players. Ideally, one of the judges should be an experienced player running an advanced character, though this is not truly essential. Basically, the adventure can be played quite easily with more or less judges by adjusting the number of foes or increasing the final experience points towards. So we get into it. We've got game master preparations, play preparations, and the story so far, and the plot explained everything. And then we get into a timeline, and these I can't remember where 2000 AD is actually set. The timeline is now, but again, back in 1987, 1986, it was 2108. So there's the location. We've got timeline there. And again, we're making liberal use of the artwork from the Judge Dredd comic. Judge Dredd himself and his Lawmaster. Again, we've got the team briefings, essentially done as handouts. And then basically this is organised prog by prog, so prog by prog, essentially program by program, as progs, essentially as issues of the comic. 2000 AD were known, so we have an individual location, level of a city block, and all the sort of what's going on there. And then we get into Barker's Bank and apartment blocks. So you slap a couple of those maps together, and you've got the plan of the building ready for the judges to move around and examine and so on, and does exactly the same in the museum. So essentially we've got displays there, you'd be putting in walls and so on and adjusting as necessary as you go through. And it does this again and again. Basically Attack of the Vacuum Cleaners, and this one of the things is basically some of the titles of the scenarios. So basically you have bananas, and then for the visit to the museum, it's called 20th Century Vox. There we go. And then we've got Attack of the Vacuum Cleaners, So there's basically nice sense of humour. Turning Japanese is the next one. You know, taking the name from the song as well. And then we've got a sort of map, a basic breakdown of the various items which are available to put out on. I don't see what that's really there for, but you know, okay. And last we get to Stratoport, so one of the scenes will take place on the Jimmy Dean Exchange. So great big motor freeway exchange, and it's always great to have that kind of thing. Because essentially, fights on the freeways of Mega City 1 are always fun to run. I've run a couple myself in the past. And essentially you can just keep a scenario rolling and rolling right throughout the shift as the characters essentially react to what's going on around them and dealing with various crimes. So yeah, and then we get to the final bit, the Forever War, or we hope not. But again, nice nod to the title of the J.L. Holderman book. And so yeah, that's and again here where you put together a complete plan of the missile silo using the floor plans. And that's about it. That is the whole of the adventure. That is Slaughter Margin. And sadly, I mean, as it says on the back of the box, it does say, what does it say? You know, future releases will build on this unique and flexible system. Well, unfortunately, this was the only release. I say the only release to use this system, and also this was the last scenario to be released for Judge Dredd. I think the only other thing that was released in print would have been Judge Dredd Companion. And presumably Block Mania as well, but that's more of a board game than to do with the role-playing game. And of course then you had all of the scenarios in White Dwarf, which if you're a fan of Judge Dredd role-playing, they're worth tracking down, because they're fun scenarios, they're really inventive, and it's clear that their authors, in particular Marcus L. Rowland, had a lot of fun writing them. So that's Slaughter Margin for Judge Dredd, the role-playing game, published in 1987. I want to thank Paul Rickards again for his lending me this copy of the scenario. That's really generous of him, because I've got to give that back. I can't keep it, to do this unboxing. So thank you very much. And of course, if you have enjoyed this unboxing, please do click the like button down below, and if you've got any comments or feedback, then please do post those. I do take the time to read them. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me with some parcels and a game that I can unbox and talk about for the best and extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, accompanied of course by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thanks again for watching, and I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.